You've decided to cancel. Good for you. You go looking for the button. There is no button. There is a phone number and a note explaining that they are experiencing unusually high call volume. They have been experiencing unusually high call volume since 2009. So you sit on hold and you think the obvious thing. These people are useless. They took my money in about 4 seconds, but they apparently cannot stop taking it without a 15-minute conversation. Here's the part nobody tells you. That is not incompetence. That is the product working. And there is a number attached to it. Start with the fact that these things are designed deliberately, on purpose. We know because one of them got dragged into federal court along with its files. Amazon's cancellation process for Prime had an internal nickname. They called it the Iliad, as in Homer, as in the extremely long poem about a war. That is the joke the people who built it were making about you. The FTC sued. In September 2025, on day 2 of the jury trial, Amazon settled $2.5 billion. $1 billion in penalties, the largest ever for breaking an FTC rule, and $1.5 billion handed back to customers for a checkout flow. Now, the phone call itself. What is actually happening on the other end? New York's Attorney General sued SiriusXM in 2023, and the complaint quotes SiriusXM's own internal numbers, which is the good part. Average time to cancel by phone, 11.5 minutes. The agents were not improvising. They were trained on a 6-part conversation. 6 parts, with as many as 5 separate retention offers inside it, and trained, in the state's words, not to take no for an answer. Sit with that, not resolve the complaint, not offer a discount. Don't take no. No is the input the system was built to reject. Oh, and there is one more number in that complaint. Canceling online took 30 minutes. Online, where there are no humans. 11.5 minutes on the phone was the express lane. 2 companies is a coincidence. So here's a third one. The FTC and the Justice Department sued Adobe in June 2024. One Adobe plan quietly carried an early termination fee. 50% of everything left on your year if you quit after 2 weeks. Disclosed, allegedly, in small print and behind little icons you had to hover over. And canceling meant clicking through pages or being passed between people on the phone. The government's phrase was resistance and delay. Adobe paid $150 million. So here is the real question, and almost nobody asks it. Why is one cancellation worth 11 minutes of a paid employee's time? Your subscription is what? $12 a month? That call costs real money. The answer is that they are not fighting for your next payment. They are fighting for every payment after the one where you stop noticing. And economists have measured what that is worth. Properly. With data. Here is how they did it, because the method is genuinely lovely. When your credit card gets replaced, expired, lost, reissued, something happens. Every subscription attached to it has to be re-entered. You are forced to look. And that moment of attention has nothing to do with how much you like the service. It is an accident of plastic, which makes it a clean, natural experiment. Cancellations spike in those months, sharply, across every service they looked at. The gap between those months and normal months is the size of the not noticing. Published in the American Economic Review. 10 subscription services. Here is the number. Inattention raises what these companies earn by 14% at the low end and by more than 200% at the high end. The average across all 10, 89%. Roughly half the money is coming from people who are not paying attention. Not from people who love it, from people who have not looked. And that is the fine print on the phone call. The friction is not there to stop you leaving today. It is there to make leaving cost more than not thinking about it. They are not defending a subscriber. They are manufacturing inattention. Now, in fairness, because being smug and wrong is worse than being boring, the retention offers are real. Actual money off your actual bill. Plenty of people call to cancel and hang up genuinely better off. Some cancellations really are a misunderstanding, and a human on the line fixes it. And checking who is canceling an account is a legitimate thing to want. All of that is true. Here is where it falls apart. The same script runs on the person saying no for the 5th time. A thing that exists to help you takes no the first time you say it. Do not take no for an answer is not service. It is a training document. America nearly fixed this. It got within 6 days of fixing it. The FTC wrote a rule that everybody called click to cancel. One idea, essentially. Let people leave the way they joined. Signed up in a click, leave in a click, signed up by phone, then phone is fine. It was due to take effect on the 14th of July, 2025. On the 8th, a federal appeals court threw the whole thing out. Not on the merits, nobody ruled that any of this behavior was fine. On procedure, the agency had skipped a required step. It had not written a preliminary analysis of the rule's economic impact, which is only required when a rule would cost industry over $100 million a year. So the size of the prize is what generated the paperwork that killed it. Meanwhile, California wrote its own version, and one clause in it is remarkable. The law says a company may still show you a retention offer while you cancel. That is allowed, on one condition. There has to be a button on the same page that cancels immediately. A legislature had to write down that the sales pitch cannot stand in the doorway. That sentence only needs to exist because the doorway was the entire idea. And Germany, for what it is worth, simply fitted the button. Since 2022, an online subscription there has to have one. By law. It takes 2 clicks, and the statute specifies the wording. That is the whole fix. So no, your call is not important to them. That part was always a lie. But it is not unimportant either. It is 11.5 minutes of filter. Nobody put that on the box. It is still a price. It is just not in dollars.